There are some Reddit stories that make you shiver the moment you read them because they're so intense, so real, and far scarier than any movie. This isn't just a story about loss and tragedy. It's a journey of exposing the truth, standing against a dangerous manipulator, and fighting for justice. Today, I'm going to share with you one of the most haunting and nerve-wracking true Reddit stories: the tragedy of James, the betrayal from his closest friend, and the desperate fight to save Lily from the hands of a monster disguised as a hero. Chapter 1: The Tragic Beginning. I still remember that fateful night, as if it had just happened yesterday. 3 in the morning, the phone rang harshly. I picked up and heard my sister sobbing so hard she could barely breathe. Still half asleep, I only managed to catch a few broken words. James, accident? He didn't make it? My sister's husband, James, had died in a hunting accident. The one who reported it to the police was Connor, James's best friend. He said he had done everything he could, pressing down on the wound, with his hands waiting for help, but the bullet had cut straight through the artery. Everything happened too fast. When I rushed to my sister's house, the scene before me made my heart sink. Lily was sitting on the kitchen floor, her clothes drenched in blood, hugging herself, trembling uncontrollably. Connor stood behind her, still in his hunting gear, one hand on her shoulder, repeating over and over, "Wrong place, wrong time. Just a stupid mistake." I wanted to believe it was the truth, that this was just a horrific twist of fate. But from that very moment, a strange feeling crept into me. It was like having a fishbone stuck in my throat, tiny but impossible to swallow down. James's death shattered my entire family. My mother cried until she fainted. My father tried to stay strong, but his eyes were bloodshot. Lily was drowning in grief so deep she could hardly recognize the world around her. And Connor, he was always there, always by her side, always holding her like some kind of savior. People say loss brings people closer together, but here I saw something else. Too fast, too much, too wrong. And I had no idea that very first unsettling feeling would lead me onto a long journey in the years to come, a journey where I would have to face a truth far more terrifying than any pain we could have imagined. Chapter 2: The Unusual Proposal. 7 months after James's funeral, my family gathered for a backyard BBQ. We were trying to regain some sense of normalcy after such a long stretch of grief. But then Connor did something that to this day still makes me shudder when I think about it. In the middle of the gathering, right in front of everyone, he suddenly dropped to one knee. In his hand was a small box. And then I froze when I realized it was James's ring, the very same ring James had proudly shown me just a week before he died, saying he planned to replace it with a nicer one to celebrate his 5-year anniversary with Lily. Connor slid that ring onto my sister's finger. His voice firm: "James would want this. He wanted you to be happy." Lily burst into sobs and nodded through her tears. My parents clapped enthusiastically. My mother clutched her chest, teary-eyed, and said, "It's just like a romance movie. The best friend stepping in to care for the widow." Relatives chimed in, praising Connor as an amazing man, a saint willing to take on such a heavy responsibility. But me, I didn't see romance. I felt my stomach twist. Everything was happening too fast, too staged. The grief of losing James hadn't even begun to heal, and Connor was already stepping in, stealing his place in Lily's heart. The following week, he moved into my sister's house. But he didn't just move in, he took over. Every single thing tied to James was ruthlessly cleared out. His baseball trophy collection was shoved into the garage. His grandfather's tool set was given away. The kitchen Lily had painted yellow because James loved sunflowers was repainted a cold, lifeless gray. With one arm wrapped around Lily's waist, Connor casually remarked, "We need a fresh start. We can't live in the past forever." My father was proud, saying not every man would be willing to marry a widow. My mother kept repeating, "Connor is just wonderful." I tried to point out how Lily had become alarmingly thin, how her arms were covered in bruises, but everyone brushed it off, She's always been clumsy. Losing a husband makes anyone lose weight. No one listened to me. In their eyes, Connor was the hero, but in mine, he was someone slowly replacing James, erasing every trace of him, and trapping Lily in an invisible cage. And as I watched my sister flinch every time Connor spoke, I knew one thing for certain. Something was very, very wrong. Chapter 3: Suspicion and Isolation. I started paying closer attention, and the more I watched, the more it chilled me. Lily was no longer herself. Every time Connor spoke, she flinched, her eyes darting away. I noticed she had lost nearly 15 pounds in less than a few months, but when I told my parents, they brushed it off. It's just grief, honey. That's what happens when someone loses a husband. One time I saw a dark bruise running down Lily's arm. I nearly shouted, "What is this?" But my mother just gave a nervous laugh. She's always been clumsy since she was a child. Probably just bumped into something. I looked at my sister, waiting for her to say something, but Lily only pressed her lips together, her eyes filling with tears, before turning away. I tried different ways to reach her. I helped her clean out her closet while Connor loomed in the background, one hand resting possessively on her hip as if marking territory. I took their engagement photos, and in the pictures I could see Lily's hand clenched so tightly it turned white, like she was gripping onto something invisible just to keep from collapsing. I even went with her to pick out a wedding dress. Every time Lily chose one, Connor shook his head. "Doesn't suit you. I'm paying, so I decide." I wanted to scream at him, but instead, I swallowed the rage, forcing a smile, because I knew if I lashed out, Lily would be the one to suffer the consequences later. At night, I once caught her sitting alone in her car. Her phone glowed in her hand. She still kept James's number saved with a tiny red heart next to his name. Their last conversation was still there. "Love you, see you for dinner tonight. Love you more. Don't forget to bring home a big one." Those short messages made my chest ache. It was clear Lily was never ready to let James go. And yet my family, they treated Connor like a savior. They told me I was selfish, jealous, that I didn't care about my sister's happiness. I tried to warn them, but every word I said was twisted into, "You just don't want her to move on." I knew I was slowly being pushed out, painted as the troublemaker. But I also knew this: if I gave up, Lily would remain trapped forever in Connor's suffocating grip. And it was that isolation, that helplessness, that made me swear to myself I would uncover the truth. Even if it meant standing against my entire family, I could not abandon my sister. Chapter 4: The Secret from the Hunting Friend. I had tried everything. I went to the police, but they said without Lily's cooperation there was nothing they could do. I called James's parents, but Connor had already gotten ahead of me, telling them I was just making things up out of jealousy. I even reached out to Lily's closest friends, hoping someone would believe me, but once again Connor had planted the idea in their heads that I was the one trying to tear the family apart. I was nearly hopeless, until I remembered Dave. He had been James's longtime hunting buddy. After the funeral, Dave had moved away, cutting off contact with everyone. At the time, I didn't understand why. Now I had a feeling Dave knew something. It took me weeks to track down his address. When I showed up at his door, Dave went pale the moment he saw me. "I can't say anything. I'm sorry," he stammered, already trying to shut the door. I panicked and blocked it. "Please, Lily is in danger. You know something, don't you?" Maybe it was the desperation in my eyes that made him hesitate. Finally, Dave sighed, trembling, and motioned me inside. He told me that, before that hunting trip, James and Connor had argued multiple times. Connor had insisted on joining, even though he hadn't originally been part of the group. James had noticed Connor acting strangely, asking too many questions about Lily, and didn't want to get involved with him. But Connor kept pushing, until James reluctantly agreed. Then Dave disappeared into the back room and returned with an old shoebox. He set it on the table, his hands still shaking. "James gave this to me a week before he died. He said if anything happened, I had to give it to Lily. I opened the box and my heart began pounding wildly. Inside were James's personal journals, some bank statements, and a stack of printed emails. The numbers leapt off the page like a slap in the face. Connor was drowning in gambling debt, tens of thousands of dollars. The emails were even worse proof that Connor had impersonated James, sending fake messages to Lily to plant doubt and drive them apart. Dave also played me a voicemail James had left the night before the hunting trip. James's voice was shaky, urgent. Dave, if you're hearing this, you should know Connor's been watching Lily. I found a tracking device hidden in her car. He has a house key I never gave him. I'm scared. If I confront him directly, I don't know what he'll do. Tomorrow we're going hunting, but I'll try to keep my distance. Just, if something happens, you need to know. The recording cut off. I sat, frozen blood rushing in my ears. Suddenly, all the pieces snapped into place. The hunting accident Connor had always talked about might never have been an accident at all. And in that moment, a chilling realization hit me. Connor wasn't just a controlling psychopath. He might have been the one who killed James. And now he was slowly turning my sister into his next prey. Chapter 5. The Undercover Investigation. After leaving Dave's house, I drove like a ghost, my mind spinning with endless questions. What exactly had Connor done to James? What was he planning to do to Lily? And what was I supposed to do next? One thing was certain, I couldn't just sit still. I needed someone to believe me, someone who could help me dig deeper. The only person I could think of was Marcus, my ex-boyfriend, a cybersecurity specialist. We had broken up long ago, but I knew he was still a decent man. And more importantly, he had the skills to uncover the truth. I called Marcus at midnight, my voice trembling. I poured everything out: Dave's shoebox, the gambling debt statements, the chilling recording. He was silent for a long time. I thought he was going to say I was paranoid, but instead, he let out a heavy breath and said, "If what you're saying is true, then Lily is living in the house of a murderer. Bring me everything you've got. I'll help." We began investigating in secret. Marcus extracted data from James's old laptop, which I had luckily managed to recover from the leftover belongings at Lily's house. The hard drive was full of information journals, browsing history, even video files from the doorbell camera. Watching them made my blood run cold. Connor appeared in almost every clip. He would show up at Lily's house whenever James was away. He tried different keys, and the lock shadowed Lily to her yoga class. In one video, he was even standing in the yard, staring through the window, like a predator waiting for his chance. Marcus also uncovered a disturbing search: history hunting accident trajectory. How long until someone bleeds out from an artery wound? Untraceable gunshot wounds. All of them had been searched roughly 2 weeks before James's death. While Marcus worked tirelessly on the data, I secretly reached out to Lily. I couldn't tell her everything outright because Connor watched her almost 24/7. But once when I ran into her at the supermarket, I managed to slip James's old watch into her coat pocket and whispered, "I know the truth. I won't abandon you." Lily's eyes went wide with panic. She shook her head over and over, silently begging me not to drag her into danger, but I still saw her trembling hand clutching the watch tightly, as if holding onto one last thread of hope. That night, Connor knocked on my door. His smile was forced, his tone dripping with fake concern. "Lily's been upset since seeing you. I hope you'll remember to keep your boundaries, respect our relationship." But in his eyes, I saw nothing but ice. I closed the door, my heart pounding. I knew I had crossed into dangerous territory. Connor was starting to suspect me, and from that moment on, I understood I wasn't just a witness anymore. I had become his enemy. Chapter 6. The Dangerous Escape. Everything exploded faster than I imagined. Just a few days after I gave Lily the watch, she knocked on my door in the middle of the night. Tears streamed down her face, her hands shaking as she whispered, "He knows. Connor knows you gave me the watch." We sat together in my small apartment, and I handed Lily all the documents Marcus and I had gathered. James's journals, the doorbell camera footage, the search history. Each piece of evidence cut through the wall of lies Connor had built around her. Lily sobbed and confessed that all this time she had secretly been recording the abuse, the threats. On her phone was an app disguised as a calculator, but in reality, it was a recorder. Connor's voice rang out crystal clear. "I've always wanted you. James never deserved you. Now everything is perfect. We had everything we needed." I urged Lily to move out immediately that very night. But as if Connor had eyes everywhere, just a few hours later, he posted a photo on Facebook holding Lily close with a caption saying they were flying to Vegas that night to get married right away because life is too short. Lily panicked. Oh my God, he knows. He knows we're about to expose him. We had only minutes. I dragged Lily out the back door down the fire escape just as we heard Connor's keys turning in the lock. He stepped into her apartment, calling out her name in that sickly, sweet yet threatening tone of his while we ran headlong toward Marcus's waiting car. Marcus drove us straight out of the city, taking us to a remote cabin owned by his cousin. On the way, I frantically uploaded copies of all the data to the cloud, sending them to a few trusted friends with the message, "If I disappear, make this public." But Connor was faster than a nightmare. The next morning, we received a message from my parents. "Lily, where are you? Connor reported you missing. The police are looking. Come back now before your sister gets arrested for kidnapping." My body went numb. He had turned everything upside down, painting me as a criminal, while he played the grieving fiancé searching for his abducted bride-to-be. The phone rang. It was my mother. Lily trembled as she answered, trying to explain through sobs that Connor had abused her, that we had proof. But my mother's voice was cold. "Don't let her manipulate you, sweetheart. You're just confused. Connor loves you." Lily broke down, throwing the phone against the wall, shattering it to pieces. Inside the dark cabin, I could see it clearly. Connor had closed in on us from every side. The police, the family, the neighbors, everyone believed him. We had only one choice: left run, keep running, and deliver the evidence to the only place we could still trust. Marcus whispered, "The FBI. 3 hours drive. If we make it there, at least, we'll have a chance." Chapter 7. The Chase and Desperation. We left the cabin before dawn. Marcus drove along back roads, avoiding the highways, while I clutched tightly to the bag holding all the evidence. Lily sat in the back seat, her face pale, her trembling hands clutching James's watch. She barely spoke, only muttering every so often, "He'll find us. He always finds us." On the radio, an urgent news bulletin came on. Our photos flashed on the screen, the announcer's voice, steady and cold. "Police are searching for 2 sisters suspected of kidnapping and unlawful coercion. If anyone sees them, report immediately to the authorities." Connor had done it. He had turned us into criminals on public broadcast. As we neared the city, we planned to stop at a small diner for coffee. But the moment I glanced through the window, my stomach dropped on the TV inside. Connor was giving an interview. He pretended to cry, his voice breaking. "I just want Lily to come home. She's being manipulated by her sister. I'm so worried for her safety." The people in the diner nodded sympathetically, their faces full of pity. We turned the car around immediately, too afraid to step inside. Marcus whispered, "He's shaping public opinion. If the police catch us, they won't believe a word we say." I bit my lip until it bled, forcing myself to stay focused. We had to get to the FBI, that was the only way. But it was as if Connor had anticipated even that. Along the way, we kept running into police cars. Twice we were nearly stopped, only managing to escape by swerving into forest roads. I caught Lily's reflection in the rearview mirror. She sat perfectly still, her eyes hollow, as if she had already accepted there was no way out. That night, We stopped at a deserted parking lot and switched into an old car Marcus had prepared earlier. With the lights off, the three of us sat in the dark, hearts pounding, listening to sirens echo in the distance. I gently held Lily's hand and whispered, "We won't let him win. James deserves justice. You deserve freedom." She turned to me, her eyes red and wet, whispering back, "But what if you're wrong? What if no one believes us?" I swallowed hard, but forced myself to sound firm. Then at least we'll know we fought until the end. By sunrise, the FBI building finally came into view in the distance. All three of us exhaled in relief, but deep down, I knew this wasn't the end. This was just the next move in the game. And Connor had never been one to lose. Chapter 8. The Truth Revealed and the Turning Point. When we walked into the FBI headquarters, I was already prepared to be arrested on the spot. And sure enough, that's exactly what happened. The moment they saw us, security stiffened hands, instinctively going to their weapons. I raised my hands, nearly shouting, "Please, just listen to us. We have evidence of a murder." A female agent named Victoria stepped forward. At first, her face was filled with the same skepticism I had seen from everyone else who'd ever heard my story. But when I unlocked my phone and played the recording of Connor's voice confessing about Lily, about James, about how everything is perfect now, I saw her expression change. For the first time, someone truly believed. Victoria led us into a private room where she listened to the entire story and reviewed all the evidence, James's journals, the bank records, the doorbell camera videos showing Connor sneaking around the house. I nearly broke down when I heard her say, "We'll open an official investigation. But you need to understand. Connor has a thick layer of protection around him. We'll have to move very carefully." In that moment, I thought we had already won half the battle. But I forgot one thing. Connor never stayed still. That very evening, he appeared once again on the nightly news. Fake tears, a trembling voice, clutching the engagement photo of him and Lily. He declared that Lily had been kidnapped by her mentally unstable sister, claiming he only wanted the woman he loved to come home safe. Once again, the world seemed to side with him. The worst blow came when the local police stormed in, tearing us apart. I was detained on charges of kidnapping, defamation, and possession of illegal substances planted in my apartment, no doubt by Connor. As for Lily, I had no idea where they took her. I screamed as they dragged her away. Don't believe him, we have the FBI, but Lily's eyes, right before she disappeared from sight, held nothing but absolute despair. In the holding cell, I sat on the cold iron bed, my mind spinning. Connor had anticipated every step. He hadn't just killed James. He hadn't just abused Lily. He knew how to bend the entire system to his will. But then a flicker of hope. Victoria came to see me. She spoke quietly through the bars. "We have enough to keep going. Don't give up. This is only the beginning." I clenched my fist tightly. I knew the road ahead would be long, painful, and full of unthinkable setbacks, but for the first time, I wasn't alone in this fight. Chapter 9. A Game of Life and Death. 2 days in jail were enough for me to realize one thing. Connor had eyes everywhere. From the guards to the court-appointed lawyer, everyone looked at me with suspicion, as if I were the monster who had kidnapped my own sister. I knew he had spread money favors and influence to make sure the entire system was stacked against me. The public defender sat across from me, his voice tired, as he said, "Listen, your best option is to plead guilty. The police found illegal substances in your apartment. There are fabricated text messages showing you coerced Lily. Your chances of winning are nearly zero." I just gave a bitter laugh. "You don't understand. Connor is a murderer, and you're all helping him walk free out there." Just when I was close to despair, Marcus appeared. He had sold his only car to post my bail. His face was gaunt, his voice raw. "I lost custody of my kid, but I don't regret it. We have to finish this." I looked at Marcus, my throat tightening. We had been cornered, but he was still here fighting with me. We secretly met with Victoria again. In her small office, she'd laid new evidence on the table, testimony from one of Connor's exes. The woman trembled as she recounted years of control beatings and, one time, waking up in a hospital with no memory of what had happened. For a brief moment, I thought we had a crucial witness. But then, with tears streaming down her face, she retracted her statement. I can't. He'll come for my family. Connor didn't need to lay a hand on Lily anymore. All he needed was fear. And that fear spread like a plague, choking us all. Worse still, Lily began to back down too. I received word that she had signed a withdrawal of her accusations in exchange for Connor dropping all charges against me. On the day I left the courthouse, I saw her walking beside him, her eyes empty, her face lifeless like a puppet. I screamed, "Lily, I know he killed James. Don't let him win." But Lily just lowered her head, clutched Connor's hand tightly, and walked away. That night, I sat in Marcus's room, staring at the board covered in papers, timelines, recordings. Everything we had built was crumbling. Evidence disqualified witnesses, silenced family turned against me, and Lily trapped tighter than ever. I remembered James's last recorded words to Dave, "If anything happens to me, Connor is behind it." James had seen the truth, but it hadn't saved him. And I shuddered as I realized we were in the exact same position, one wrong move, and Connor would bury us just as he had buried James. This was no longer an ordinary fight. This was a game of life and death. If I didn't win, both Lily and I would vanish from this world, while Connor continued playing the role of the heartbroken hero. And I swore this time I would not let him win. Chapter 10. The crucial evidence emerges. I had grown far too familiar with despair, but sometimes fate throws you a tiny spark, just enough to stop you from letting go. And that spark came from the most unexpected place, James's old camera bag. While sorting through his things one day, my hand brushed against a seam inside the lining. Hidden there so cleverly that no one would have noticed was a USB drive. My hands trembled as I plugged it into Marcus's laptop. We both sat frozen as the files began to appear. James had left everything behind. Videos he recorded during hunting trips, not just landscapes, but footage of Connor lurking in the background, showing up in places he had no reason to be. Audio recordings of James talking about his unease about finding a tracking device planted in Lily's car. And worst of all, a video Connor had filmed of himself drunk, muttering sick words. In the end, she'll be mine. James never deserved her. I just need one chance. Marcus's eyes widened as he looked at me. My God, this is a bombshell. I clenched my fists so hard my nails dug into my skin. This was it. Not suspicions, not testimonies, but hard, undeniable proof. That very night I drove straight to Agent Victoria's house. Ignoring every formality, I rang her doorbell over and over until she appeared, her face still groggy from sleep. I managed only one sentence. We found it. Everything James prepared. We sat in her living room, the blue glow of the screen lighting her stern face. When Connor's drunken mutterings played, Victoria lost her composure. She shot to her feet, grabbed her phone, and barked into it. "We have enough for an emergency warrant. Arrest him now." For the first time, I saw a crack in Connor's perfect mask. He would no longer be the hero or the devoted fiancé. He would have to stand exposed before justice, before everyone. But then when the police stormed his house at dawn, he walked out in handcuffs, still wearing that calm smile, his eyes locked on the car where I sat watching, as if to say, the game isn't over. And in that moment, I knew no matter the evidence, no matter the arrest, Connor still had one last card hidden up his sleeve. Chapter 11. The Mind Game in the Shadows. When I saw Connor in handcuffs being led into the car, I thought, finally, it's over. But only minutes later, reality slapped me hard across the face. The police searched his house. They uncovered piles of documents, sickening plans, even maps marking the places where he had stalked Lily for years. I stood outside, heart racing, waiting for the moment Lily would be brought out. But she wasn't there. Lily's car was still in the garage. Her clothes, her belongings, Her purse, everything remained untouched in her room. But no Lily. Not a trace. I rushed to Agent Victoria and demanded, "Where is she? Did they move my sister somewhere?" Victoria's face was tense as she answered, "No, we didn't find her in the house. There's a chance he hid her somewhere else." My heart plummeted. Connor sat in the back of the police car handcuffed, yet his eyes gleamed. His lips curled into a wicked smile. He knew. He had anticipated even this. In the interrogation room, he stayed silent for hours, then suddenly spoke. "She left because she wanted to. Lily needed space. You people will never understand." He repeated it like a mantra, calm cold, and his lawyer emphasized no one had the right to hold Lily if she had chosen to leave on her own. But I knew. I could feel it. Lily had never left willingly. Not the Lily I knew. That night, I nearly lost my mind. I tore through every note James had left, every piece of evidence, every line of the timeline I had meticulously built. I stared at the wall, covered in sticky notes and photos, and only one question echoed in my head. Where did he hide my sister? Then Dave James's hunting buddy called me, his voice shaking. "I think I know where he would hide. Lily. But we have to go now before it's too late." In the dead of night, I sped down the road, following Dave, my heart pounding so hard it felt like it would burst, and deep inside, a horrifying truth settled in. Connor might be in handcuffs, but he was still controlling this game, move by move. Chapter 12. The Desperate Rescue. Dave took me to an old wooden cabin buried deep in the forest, nearly an hour's drive from the city. He said it was where Connor had grown up, a place he had never sold, a place no one ever visited. The moment we pulled onto the muddy dirt road, I knew this was it. The sight sent a chill down my spine. The abandoned house stood in darkness, overgrown with weeds, its windows boarded up. But near the wine cellar, the ground showed fresh tire tracks, the soil churned and disturbed. Connor had prepared this place long ago as a trap to hold Lily, even if he wasn't free himself. The FBI arrived right after us. I stood behind the security line, my heart pounding as Agent Victoria signaled the team to breach. They stormed inside, flashlights sweeping every corner. Then, from the damp steel cellar in the back, the door was forced open. I heard a scream, a familiar scream, faint, fragile, as if one more day's delay would have been too late. Lily. She was pulled out of the darkness, her eyes glassy, her body trembling, her pregnant belly unmistakable. An IV line still dangled from her arms, surrounded by boxes of food and medical supplies. Connor had planned everything to keep her alive, but not free. She was meant to be a captive in his twisted game forever. I rushed forward, ignoring the officers holding me back. When Lily saw me, her bruised, frail hand reached out desperately. I wrapped my arms around her, my throat so tight I couldn't speak. That was the moment I knew we had won half the battle. Connor might have deceived the world, but he couldn't keep Lily imprisoned forever. The evidence in that cellar was undeniable. His deranged journals, years in the making. Maps charting Lily's every move. Even the detailed plan of James's so-called hunting accident. The FBI bagged everything, every scrap of paper, every item, as the final hammer blows against the wall of lies Connor had built. When I walked Lily out of that cellar into the morning light, I saw it clearly in her eyes, no longer despair, but determination. She whispered, "You were right all along. Now we'll finish him." That night, for the first time in years, I slept peacefully, knowing we had pulled Lily out of hell, and this time, with all the evidence in our hands, Connor would have nowhere left to run. There are some Reddit stories that make you shiver the moment you read them, because they're so intense, so real, and far scarier than any movie. This isn't just a story about loss and tragedy, it's a journey of exposing the truth, standing against a dangerous manipulator, and fighting for justice. Today I'm going to share with you one of the most haunting and nerve-wracking true Reddit stories, the tragedy of James, the betrayal from his closest friend, and the desperate fight to save Lily from the hands of a monster disguised as a hero. And that was the whole story. A journey spanning years, starting from what seemed like a random hunting accident until the entire truth was finally exposed. James had been murdered by the very best friend he trusted most. Connor had planned everything: James's life, his love, even Lily's future. But in the end, no matter how many tricks, he had justice still found a way to win. This is a reminder: sometimes the most dangerous person is the one you trust the most. And if you ever feel that something is wrong, trust your instincts. Don't let anyone manipulate the truth. Thank you for listening. If you enjoy chilling and dramatic, true Reddit stories like this, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and ring the notification bell so you won't miss the next episode. I'll see you again in more stories filled with drama and haunting twists right here on the channel.